Each week, Dukascopy TV invites a market expert to discuss with us their predictions for important economic market releases which could shape currency movements in the coming week. Joining me today is Gergely Tardos, Director of Research at OTP Bank Hungary. Now, Gergely, obviously there is a lot of data out next week, but which release would you advise Dukascopy viewers to watch out for?
In my opinion, the job market report from the US that will be published on Friday, that is the most important indicator by far. The market usually heavily focus on the non-farm payroll data because that is the first indicator that is published for the previous months and that provide a lot of information about the business cycle processes of the US. And just like in the last few months, expectations are about very strong job generation number. Right now, the consensus of the market expectations are above 200,000 again. Actually, it's 213,000 after data of last month, which was 227,000. And now the market expects that the unemployment rate will go down. Why this is important? Right now, the most important driver of relatively positive market sentiment around the world is the strong economic performance of the US, which is about not only growth but also job generation. Employment is picking up, activity is picking up in the US, and if this will continue and the data will support that view, then we may have another month of positive sentiment around the world and stronger risk appetite.
On Sunday, we have the release of Japan's Tankan data. Manufacturing plays a critical role in the Japanese economy, and this survey is considered the best gauge of the industry's health. What are you expecting from this data?
Well, the large question here whether the improvement that the market expects and what is priced in will take place. Actually, the manufacturing Tankan, opposed to the broad index, had a modest deterioration in the last few quarters, and now the market expects this trend to turn a bit to the positive side. If this will come through, then it can fuel the growth expectations around Japan, but if the deterioration will go on, that is a strong sign that a weaker than expected GDP number can be expected for this year.
Monday sees the final manufacturing PMI data release for Europe. How important is this release and what can we anticipate from it?
Usually it's not considered as the most important data regarding European business cycle, but I think that now it's worth to focus on that because all of the data is in the negative territory. That is that supports the view that the Eurozone may face a recession in the first and maybe also in the second quarter. I think that if any data will be better than the expectation, then it can help the market and may support the euro. I think it's very important to focus on the Italian number. If it will be a bit worse than the previous number, then it can have strong effect on the euro because the future of Italy can heavily influence the expectations about the whole Eurozone.
Also on this day is the release of the ISM manufacturing data in the US. Over the last 3 months, this has produced better than expected results. Can we expect something similar on Monday?
I think that it's very unlikely that we will have a negative surprise. In this data, in the US, manufacturing growth was strong in the last few months, and it's one of the important drivers of the economy. And what is also interesting here is the difference between the US and the European numbers, as the European numbers are the below 50 level, which suggests that the manufacturing sector of the Eurozone is in recession. Opposed to that, the US numbers are above the threshold, and if this will remain, then the picture of a strong positive growth gap between the US and the Eurozone will remain, and I think that can be supportive for the US dollar.
The European Services PMI comes out on Wednesday. This report takes into account employment, production, orders. How much does this release act as an indicator of European economic health?
It's a strong indicator. The service sector has a large weight in the European economy, and what should be focused at is the difference between Germany and the Italian number. In Germany, the indicator is above the 50 threshold, which means that maybe only the German sector is having strong growth. But France is on the edge, and again, Italy is well below the average of other large economies. And any revision or surprise in this data will drive the euro.
Finally, we also have the ECB press conference on this day. Many people will be tuning into this, but how much change can we realistically expect?
Well, what is the most important that it's very unlikely that there will be change in the base rate. No analyst among, 100 expect any change in the base rate, so it's very likely that there will be no rate move. What can be much more interesting is the communication of the ECB. We suggest 3 main topics to focus on. First, inflation. In the last month, inflation risk started to become more markant in the ECB communication, not only because of oil prices, but because of the difference between the peripheries and in the Germany, which can influence German inflation. Another topic what can be interesting is the opinion of the ECB about the long-term refinancing operations. The large amount of liquidity that was poured out to the banking sector in the last few months until now was mentioned as an unquestionable success for the ECB, and initially this monetary instrument surprised the market, and it is very true that this large amount of liquidity supported the government bond buying of the banking sector, and it also helped the general economic sentiment. But in the last lending survey, it became very clear that despite the large amount of liquidity that was poured out, lending remained weak. And another important question regarding the LTROs is the exit strategy. It's very likely that the ECB will start to communicate about how they will withdraw the liquidity in the coming future. And maybe a last thing which can be important on the press conference is the ECB message to the politicians, what they will communicate about fiscal policy, because it should be very clear that this large amount of liquidity can only buy some time, but to keep the Eurozone together and to avoid further large stresses on the economy, the underlying fiscal policies of the problematic countries should be pushed back to the sustainable track.
Thanks, Gergely. We'll be keeping you updated with all of these events next week and more exclusive interviews from the Dukascopy TV Centre. For now though, goodbye.